This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibrations Camp here in Trinidad with another lesson. Alright, through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So, first and foremost, Kal Halayam La Alahayanawa, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the brothers who preaching and teaching the truth throughout the four corners of the earth, in all truth and sincerity, risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more than ever for this truth. Shalom unto the speckled Israelites, who looks like the other nations, but are Israel through their forefatherly lineage. And shalom unto the very few but faithful Akawats who is in this truth here, being all truthful and sincere with this truth, where this truth is concerned. So this lesson is another historical lesson I'll be going into. Alright, yesterday I had made a video, alright, concerning the first slave ship, where did it originated from, alright, proving that the first slave ship did not came from off the west coast of Africa, but in truth and fact it came off from the shores of Portugal, Spain. Alright, now within that lesson I made a brief point, alright, concerning the Spanish Inquisition. Alright, so we are going to go into that actual account from the book of Babylon to Timbuktu. Alright, from the book of Babylon to Timbuktu. Alright, because this, as I said yesterday, and I just always say, history coincides with prophecy. Prophecy coincides with history because, the Bible is the most accurate history book in the world. Alright? There's no other history book that could be as accurate as the Bible. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, this is off of page 128. Alright, the name of this chapter is the final dispersion of the black Jews. What black is just a social construct. Alright, the word black is just a social construct that these Edomites made in the year 1581 or something like that, either 1500s, late 1500s, late 1600s. Alright, where they call themselves white and call us black. Alright, a racial social construct. Alright, which I will get into on a further date. I want to stick to the point. Alright, so it going into the dispersion of our people, according to prophecy. Alright, the word dispersion, it goes into the word scattered. When you disperse something, you scatter it. Okay, you disperse seeds on the field, which means what? You scattered the seeds across the field. Alright, and the seed represent us, the children of Israel, and the field represent the four corners of the earth in which we have been scattered throughout, according to prophecy, according to the curses which is written in Deuteronomy 28, verse 64 and 68, along with Luke 21 and Luke chapter 21, verse 24. Alright. Also the book of Baruch, also Baruch 4 and I think it's verse 6. So yeah. So let's get into it here. I'm reading. In the year 1547, the papal office, all right, that word papal, it goes into papa, which is the pope who consider himself God, the most high God here on earth, all right, or he's the most high God here on earth, and what have you, all right, which is something that is very wicked, all right. In the year 1547, the papal office authorized the establishment of the system of the Inquisition in Portugal. The word Inquisition means inquiry or investigation, so we don't have to go into that word. They already give you the meaning. All right, it means inquiry or investigation. Now let's see who they were investigating and why they were investigating them. All right, now those people that was in the papal, all right, who authorized that investigation and inquiry was what? An Edomite, a so-called white man. Okay, and this is more proof showing you that the Roman Catholic Church had played a very, 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 very big part in the slavery of both northern and southern kingdom of Israel. Okay, so let's continue. The Inquisition, Salakia, consisted of a tribunal of religious judges. All right, its purpose was to investigate and purge out heretical Christians. So let's go into that word. I wonder if I have it on the lineup there, boy. No, I don't have it on the lineup, so this is what I go how to do. I wonder if I could get it from here. I must see something. I must see something. Alright. I gotta come out of that. Alright. Alright, heretical. Believing in or practicing religious heresy. Alright, which is heresy, what you would consider heresy is going against the doctrine that right, that is being taught. Alright. Iconoclastic, alright, which is to paint over, to whitewash, or non-believing, unbelieving, non-theistic, alright, pagan, idolatrous, apostate. Alright, so here it is. These Edomites, we already got the meaning, alright? We already got it. So let's go back. So here it is. These Edomites are considering us Israelites who carrying about with our laws, statutes, and commandments that was given to us through Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. They considering it as idol worship and what have you, when they are the biggest idol worshippers. All right, we wasn't any practicing our heritage, but here it is. These Edomites who are responsible for the world in going into idolism and going into worshiping Mary, mother and child, and Cesare Borgia and all these saints, so-called saints, all right? They are responsible for all that wickedness, but they are persecuting us for keeping our true heritage. But again, it goes back, to the curses, all right, that will befall upon us for our disobedience, all right? So let's continue. Its purpose was to investigate and purge out heretical Christians, all right? Persons who question certain Christian principles, questioning these Edomites concerning their wicked idolatry and what have you, all right? These things were frowned upon by these Edomites who are in power even to this day, all right? How dare you question our beliefs that we are putting upon you, all right? To partake in, how dare you go against it, all right? So this is what the Inquisition was mainly about. The inquiry was mainly about, all right? And the purging, the purging was by means of death, mainly by means of death, or putting you into slavery, shipping you off to another land to serve slavery. All right. So it goes. Although some white Portuguese Christians suffered at the hands of the Inquisition, which these so-called white Portuguese, they don't literally have to be Edomites. They could have surely been Israelites, or what you would know as Palatine Moors, all right, who they look like Edomites, but they are Israelites through their forefathers, okay? Because not all Israel would come with dark features, thick lips, broad nose, woolly textured hair, all right, and melanated skin and what have you. Let's continue. All right, so although some of the white Portuguese Christians suffered at the hands of the Inquisition, this system was mainly directed against the new Christians, which was who? The secret black Jews. All right, because a lot of us, we were forced into Christendom, into Roman Catholicism. All right, we were Catholics on the outside and we out on the streets or out and about, but in secret we were practicing our heritage. All right, because remember, there's an inquiry going on, so you cannot show off your true heritage out to the public, because by all means you will be put to death. Okay. So it reads, the Inquisitions were persistent, gruesome, and ruthless in the totality of their procedures. They interfered in the private affairs of individuals, all right, which is what? Kicking down your doors and what have you, okay? And that is the same thing that is going to come about again in this time here, all right, where Esau Edom is going to make a serious inquiry in the ones who is given service unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the ones who are serving Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai in truth and in spirit, which are who? The Israelites. They are going to be making inquiry of us, all right, and coming down with brutal force and what have you, all right, as written in the scriptures, Revelation 2:10, 2nd Ezra 16 and 68, all right, I think Job 30 and 7, not Jeremiah, Salakia 30 and 7, these scriptures, would come to mind. All right, they intimidated and coerced individuals. All right, that would cause us to force, coax them, inveigle them. All right, to inform on their neighbors, which is going to come back again. All right, because there's nothing new under the sun. All right, they employed a wide variety of continuous horrendous tortures, all right, including public shows of burning human beings at the stake. And in order to satisfy their desire for the punishment of heretics, they sought not only the living but also the dead. Yeah. Garcia de Horta, a Jew of Portugal, was discovered to have been a secret Jew, right, practicing his heritage, right. His body was dug up out of his grave and burned by the Inquisition. All right, this is how sick these Edomites are. In another case, a Jew woman of the name of Elvira del Campo was indicted and tortured for 2 years in order to elect a confession from her. All right? The charges against her were not eating pork. And I'm going to pull some scriptures in a bit to show you, to prove to you that these so-called white people are the Edomites. We are the Israelites, or so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, Caribs, Arawaks, Tainos, what not have you. We are the Israelites, and the same thing that they were doing in the Spanish Inquisition is the same thing that they were doing in the under the Grecian Empire. All right, especially by a guy by the name of Antiochus Epiphanes. Okay, I think Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth or whatever his name. I think he was the fourth, or I can't remember. All right, but nevertheless, all right, the charges against her were not eating pork and putting on clean linen on Saturdays. All right, which we know the Sabbath is not on a literal Saturday. It goes by the new moon. But what they're showing is that this lady was doing what? Keeping the Sabbath. She was trying her best to do what? To keep the Sabbath. All right, she was, which is what? Following the laws, statutes, and commandments, her heritage that was given to our forefathers on down. All right, according to this woman, these charges were not heretical practices. All right, because why? This is the truth. All right, this is the way to live, according to Yahweh Basham, Yahweh Shai. All right, she wanted to be clean, but but it's obvious, you know, you're gonna have to make up an excuse. All right, make up an excuse. You know, that is what she was doing. She was making up an excuse, and pork made her sick. All right, because hey, pork is an unclean meat. All right. Whenever the Christian Jews could escape from Spain and Portugal beyond the reach of the Inquisition, they threw off the guise of Christianity and practiced Judaism openly. Practice the heritage, because Judaism is a false religion, because anybody could practice Judaism. But to be a Jew, to be an Israelite and practice the heritage of an Israelite, you have to be born an Israelite. All right, through your forefatherly lineage. All right, they threw off the guise of Christianity and practiced their heritage openly, as they did in Turkey. That's whenever they could escape the Inquisition in Portugal, Spain. Okay. However, the unfortunate new Christians, all right, nominal Christians or secret Jews in Portuguese possessions in West Africa, India, and elsewhere, could not throw off the disguise of Christianity. All right, they had was to continue in the Roman Catholic dogma and what have you, or else suffer the fate of being put to death. All right, the Inquisition even dispatched its inquisitorial agents to the Canary Islands. All right, to the Canary Islands, Madeira, Guinea, India, South America, Santom, and Angola. All right, because these were Portuguese colonies. All right, in order to search out secret Jews. All right, from 1561 to 1623, about 3,800 individuals were tried. Many of them were Christian Jews of Santom Island. They were charged with maintaining Israelite principles. Cecil wrote that Christian Jews immigrated to the Portuguese colony of Angola in West Africa, where agents of the Inquisition were sent to hunt them out in 1626. Now we can understand why writers like Frederick Ratzel consider the tribes along the Luango and Cabinda coast Christians. All right, because hey, they fell off from their true heritage from generation onwards to generation. All right, these Jews had to maintain a Christian guise, and particularly so in the presence of white people. these Edomites. All right? Any European could have been an agent of the Inquisition. All right? This just goes to show, right? This just goes to show the total hatred that these Israelites have for us. And it just goes to show from even from way back then that these Edomites always they have that godlike complex where the people must not follow their own gods. All right, the people of the nations must not follow their own gods, but follow and worship Esau, Edom, and their Jesus Christ, which is Serapis Christus, which goes all the way back to Ptolemy when he Salakia, when he had gained rulership of Egypt. All right. So let's continue. All right. So it reads, right? They had, right, in the presence of white people and Europeans any European could have been an agent of the Inquisition. It is certain that many black Jews of Portugal, Santom and Angola who became victims of the Inquisition and Portuguese persecution were sold in the slave trade. All right, they were sold in the slave trade and were brought across to Brazil because Brazil was actually the first country, all right, where the southern kingdom of Israel, which is us so-called Negroes, came about to serve slavery in the transatlantic slave trade. This is why we prove without a shadow of a doubt that the first slave ship, it did not came from off the west coast of Africa during the transatlantic slave trade. Now, slavery was going on before the transatlantic slave trade, Salakia, which was known as the sub-Saharan slave trade, which was being conducted by the Arabs, okay? Where they were shipping us off to places like China, Japan, Malaysia, East India, where else again? Places in Yemen, Saudi Arabia, all right? Throughout the Middle East and Asia, all right? Throughout. Okay? So, let's continue. This Atlantic slave trade lasted more than 400 years, from 1444 to about 1880 in some parts of South America. All right? Because I will stop it from there and go to some scriptures. Why some parts in South America? Because you have to understand in the after 1804, when Haiti had gotten independence, when they had freed, had fought against the French and had won that war, the Haitian Revolution. Okay, they were the ones that were responsible for abolishing slavery throughout South America. Venezuela and Colombia was to name a few of these countries that was being liberated by the so-called Haitians, all right, during the days of slavery. All right, so let's go to some scriptures here now. All right, watch this here to show you the Bible does not lie. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 1, and I will start at verse 1. Not 2nd Ezra, I mean 1st Maccabees Salakia, chapter 1, verse 1. And I will just read. This is the only book I will go to, and we will cut it from there just to prove a point. Because this same thing that was going on during the Spanish Inquisition is the same thing that was taking place in the Grecian Empire. All right, so this is 1st Maccabees 1 and 1.
And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. All right? So you see there that in the beginning there, in the first five verses, that Alexander, all right, he was the first so-called white man to reign over Greece, because the true Grecians were melanated people, all right, of the lineage of Japhet. They were the Japhites. They were known as the Japhites, Japhetic people. A matter of fact, the whole of Europe was given to Japhet, all right? Shem, Ham, Japhet, they were all so-called black people, all right? So let's continue. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place, which was his 4 generals. Okay. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth. So you can see there, when the so-called white man came into power through Alexander the Great, all right, evils were multiplied upon the earth, because the so-called white man is the wicked, is the devil that the scriptures speaks about. Verse 10, this is the man here, the main culprit here. Okay? And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. All right? In those days went out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make us a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. All right? Wicked Israelites. Okay? Wicked Israelites. But anyhow, let's go down to verse 41. Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all people should be one. All right? From since back then, they had this notion of this one world order. All right? And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Because what Antiochus was doing was trying to accomplish what Alexander the Great wanted to do. All right? This was the agenda. This was the ideology of Alexander the Great. That when he had conquered all that he could conquer, that everybody could come under one rule, one rule of law and what have you, one sense of worship and all these things. All right. So let's continue verse 42. I think I don't know if I read verse 42, but I'll read it over again. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. Wicked Israelites, sellouts, all right, and sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival. All right, the same thing that King Jaw and Papal Bull and what have you, um, when the Portuguese and when Portugal, Spain was reigning, all right, they were out of the seven horns that the scripture was speaking about. All right, this is the same thing that this is the same role that they picked up from their forefather Antiochus. All right. So let's continue and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people. Right? Who is the holy people? Israel. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh. And sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean meats. All right? That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. All right? The word profanation goes into outside of the temple. They're very disrespectful to the laws and statutes and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So as you could see, back then our people was doing their best to practice the law. All right? The righteous ones. Okay? And as you could see, for us not eating pork, all right, not eating that swine's flesh, we were persecuted for it. All right? But our people in this 2021, how they came about to be loving this unclean meat that the Most High said is not to even touch, is during the days of slavery. Because remember, we wasn't getting anything to eat, any nourishing thing, any proper nourishment or what have you. So, whatever Master give out to us, we eat. Right? Whatever Master give out to us, we eat. And they would more than likely, most times, 9 times out of 10, give us also the swine belly, the swine balls, the swine nose, and what have you, to eat. So our people from that period of time till now would never think it hard to ingest that unclean meat in their system. All right? So let's continue. So that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. All right, there's a part in the book I was looking for, but I could not get to find it, where a woman, all right, during the Spanish Inquisition, she was put to death alongside with her child, put to death for circumcising her son. All right? To the end that they might, verse 49, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers. The same thing, less like in the Spanish Inquisition, right, where they would send agents, right, to inquire of which of these Israelites, which of these Jews practicing their heritage secretly, that we could apprehend them and bring them before the courts to try them and put them to death. All right? And appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. All right? And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. The word succor goes into aid, into help. All right? And it's the same thing again that was taking place, where the Inquisition was so heavy upon the Israelites that they had was to flee Portugal, Spain, and go back to the west coast of Africa and some of the islands that is off the coast of Africa, and especially mainly in Turkey, all right? Mainly in the country of Turkey, so that they could practice their heritage without being persecuted. All right? Verse 54, now the 15th day of the month Casliu, in the 140 and 50 year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars show the cities of Judah on every side and burnt incense on the doors of the houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the book of the law which they found, they burned them with fire. This is what these so-called white people was doing. They were burning our Bibles. All right, they were burning our Bibles so that we could not follow the laws, statutes, and commandments. All right, and it's the same thing that is going to happen again in this very, very near persecution that is coming upon us. All right, they are going to be hunting and seeking for the true men of the Lord. The true men of the Lord, they are going to be hunting and seeking for them and their family to put them to death. All right. Verse 57, and whosoever was found with any of the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, right? To the law, statutes, and commandment, if anybody committed to that. All right? What's happened? What is the penalty? The king's commandment was that they should put him to death. And as the same thing was taking place in the Spanish Inquisition again. All right? When you go to I think is, what the hell do me? I think is I don't want a 9 Ecclesiastes 1 and I think verse 9. Yeah, this is Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. It reads, the thing that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So, what was taking place with us back then during the Grecian Empire, okay, even in the Babylonian Empire, all right, but it was mainly taking hold upon us during the Grecian Empire, is the same thing that was taking place upon us in the Spanish Inquisition. And it's the same thing that is going to take place with us in this last period here that we are in, all right, where these Edomites are going to make inquiry, they are going to make an inquisition, right? This is going to be the Edomite Inquisition of the ones where they're inquiring of the ones who is serving Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And best believe a lot of our own people are going to sell us out. All right, don't be too shocked if your own, boy, we'll leave that for them. So we are to reach 50 what? I think 55. No. All right, verse 58. Almost finished with this. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month to as many as were found in the cities. All right. To this, but now the 5th and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar which was upon the altar of Yahweh. All right. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Yeah, that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hung the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. Right? And there was a very great wrath upon Israel. Okay? And it's the same thing that is going to happen again. All right? This Spanish Inquisition, which was the first steps into putting us into slavery and the transatlantic slave trade, all right, is going to happen all the way back again in this 2021 and beyond until Yahweh Shai makes his return. All right? But he will protect his holy elect. Some of us will have to be martyred, but it's all for Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Watash. Alright? Let me just read one more scripture. Same Maccabees. Oh no. Put this here. 2nd Maccabees 6 and 6. Let me see how quick I could do this. Alright, 2nd Maccabees 6 and 5. The altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. The same thing. Nothing new under the sun. It was not lawful for us to say that we are Israelites, and it's the same thing that is taking place now. And they are going to make it illegal for us to say that we are the true children of Israel. Okay, in this time here now, in this time period here now. Alright? And in the day of the king's birth, every man, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. Alright? The king's birthday. That is why we don't celebrate birthdays, because that is not of our heritage. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews, right? Bacchus goes into bacchanal, which is what? Carnival. Carni goes into flesh. Val goes into exposure of the flesh. All right? That's why, all right, our people love this wicked festival called Carnival. All right? But hey, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahshua has something coming. All right? When the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go into procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. All right? That goes into wearing costumes and what have you. All right? And getting on very lewd, all right? Performing lewd acts and stuff like that. Okay? Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices, and whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles shall be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery, for there were 2 women brought who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led round about the city, the babes hanging from their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall. Right? And others they had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered by Philip, were all burnt together. This is the persecution that we were suffering under these Grecians, which were the so-called white man, because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. Verse 12. This is a script. This verse 12 here is something to give us strength and faith. And I would end it off with verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities. Don't let these calamities of the past and what is to come in this present time here discourage us from serving Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. But that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. All right? Which is to what? Reprove us, bring us back to remembrance, and bring us back to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Kal Halal, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakak Wadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, salutations unto the brothers who preaching and teaching this truth throughout the 4 corners of the earth, in all truth and sincerity, risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more than ever for this truth. Shalom unto the speckled Israelites Salakia, alright, who looks like the other nations, but are Israel through their forefatherly lineage. And Shalom unto the very few but faithful Akhawats. This is your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration. Hope you was edified with this lesson. Shalom, shalom, shalom.